Hi everybody, Adam here. Welcome back to our Lego room. Lots of cool progress to show you guys today in the rail yard and with some of the new sidings that we are adding to the layout. Really excited to have the new train shed build added into the yard. We've made some cool progress with the grain elevator and its support building. Lots of work adding power and lights to Mills modules through the train yard. So lots of great stuff to cover. So let's dive in. First up, we've got the new train shed module that we have placed in the rail yard. Really happy with how the building looks here on this end of the layout. I think it's a cool addition, and we should be able to integrate and create some nice scenes and sort of track moving in and around this part of the layout here. One of the things you may notice if you watched our previous review video on the train shed, I have had to remove the clock piece from the side of the shed here. It's over here for the time being. There was a question on the video about whether the clock here was going to impede train cars on the siding, and it does. So you'll notice I've taken that off, and it looks like 6 wide train cars are all that we're going to be able to fit down this particular siding here. Even with the clock removed, it's just there's not a lot of clearance there when you look at where the lights are positioned on that sidewall. I'm not too concerned about that in the short term. Long term, I've got the option if I wanted to change up the lighting there. I might be able to create a bit more space for wider train cars. But I really do like the way the lights look there. So for now, I'm going to go like this with only 6 wide cars coming down into that section of track there. And I think that's a worthwhile trade-off to have the lighting there. But, something that I've got an option to change later if I need to. One of the other things that's worth noting, you'll see that I've added a track Mills module out in front of the train shed. And I actually have the power entering this module right here. It powers these lights over that track, which I think is going to look really cool and should be a fun area to have lighting in the yard here. And then the power continues to flow on through a horizontal connector right here and into the train shed module itself. And that powers the interior lights, all the lights here on the outside edge of the building, and even the lights that we've got in behind there. So really happy to see those horizontal power connectors working, and nice to get them integrated into a track module here to show how that'll be done and to kind of work out some of the issues that might arise because of that. This is the first track module that we have run power into and through, and definitely plan on doing that for a lot more track modules. Now, in the short term, one of the remaining tasks for the train shed is to understand what I want to do with this extra little chunk of Mills module here. And really, for that matter, I need to do something with the 2 half base plate chunks that are open there as well. I think that's going to be ultimately pretty straightforward. I think the empty gap will just get 2 half base plates with track on it, and we can run the track here in the yard. We can run that, continue to run it down into that corner there. We could probably even run this interior track there, one more module forward. If I want to run track into that open space there on this side of the train shed, I need to figure out a plan for the pallet and the crates. I think the power line would be okay there, but I might have to touch that as well to move it a little bit, but I think it would be fine where it is. It's really just the pallet and those two crates. I don't know if there's a lot of, advantage to running track on down half of that open space there. Once I get to the lights there, I'd want to stop, and that, I could put the pallet in there. The other option is I could just do some decor options as well as put in some landscaping. So maybe a couple of trees here and then some pallets and other equipment down at that end underneath the lights. Not entirely sure, so I'll think about that a little bit, may try out a few options, but overall, like I said, really happy with how the train shed is fitting in over here. And I think it's going to be really cool once we have really, sort of pushed the track, pushed this track down farther and hooked the track coming up out of the shed here into the rail yard itself. We'll probably put another switch or something over on the track over here once it enters this track area to get us out to these outer tracks here at the train shed. But a great addition to the train yard here. Now, next up, we've got the grain elevator complex. And one of the first things you'll notice is I've moved my little power testing apparatus down here to test the power for this chunk of Mills module. I've got just a little, it's kind of just a little testing rig that I've got here. There's a horizontal connector in here that connects out to this battery pack, and I can plug it in, sort of any Mills module that's using the new Brick Stuff horizontal power connectors just to test it out, make sure power is running correctly through the entire module. So I had this hooked up over at the train shed. Now it's here. Once all of these areas start to get connected together, I can have more sort of permanent power sources that are hooked up that, take care of a larger chunk of the layout. But for now, I've got this base plate with my little testing equipment here just to move around and make testing power in different areas as easy as possible. So really happy with how that's working out. And if you look at the grain elevator complex as a whole here, the power is currently flowing through to the lights out here on the driveway into the grain elevator itself. Really happy with the way these lights look, but they're just the beginning of the lighting for this particular complex. The power comes currently in through the battery pack here into the horizontal connector, and it flows down this lower edge of the complex, and it can continue on from here going up into the train yard if we want, but it also branches here and heads up this way. So there's a connector over here so that we can start to push power out that way into the track if we want. But I also have a wire that comes out of here and heads into the support building for the grain elevator. At a minimum, I'm looking at adding some lighting inside that building, so you can see it basically through the various windows, which I think will be a nice touch. And I'm also contemplating putting a light out here above the door. I think that would look nice as well. On this end of the complex over here, you'll also notice that I've got power coming out and heading into the lower part of the grain elevator here. I think having lighting inside this part of the structure could be pretty cool, especially once we get trucks coming in and out of here. I think it'll help sort of sell some of the details both inside the structure, but also help to highlight the trucks that are using the grain elevator in an interesting way as well. So really happy with how the power is getting integrated into these different modules. I think it'll be cool in the near future to do another sort of lighting test of the whole layout and to start to see these different pockets of light, not only in the city, but also out in the industrial area, the rail yard, etc., as we move power throughout the entire layout. So really happy with our progress there on that. The other thing you might notice is that we have finished our changes to the roof for the support building. So previously, the building was just one complete entity. The roof was more of a structure like this, rather than using plate and tiles, rather than these slope pieces. And it was all fixed together. So what I did is I introduced this layer right here, which is a connection layer between the building and the roof. So now the roof can be detached, and I've converted it over to using the sloped pieces that you can see here. Same idea as what I did for the top part of the grain elevator. And the big reason behind this, one, it's nice to now have easy access to the interior of the structure. You'll notice it's pretty bare bones at the moment. Now that it's easy to access it, I would like to sort of finish off that interior and put some more items in there, decor, and even just finishing the floor off. I think that would look really cool, especially as we're adding lighting into the interior as well. But the other nice thing is this change makes the roof much sturdier. I take the grain elevator here and the support building out of the Lego room twice a year at least to take it out to train shows. And that's a lot of movement for the structure, a lot of having to, move it out of the room, move it in and out of vehicles. And that is, that's tough on the buildings. And I find that this roof structure here is much more stable for that kind of movement. So happy to make this change for that reason as well. It gives us something much more stable. You'll notice on both the support building roof and on the grain elevator itself, don't have anything on the top part yet. No sort of definitive peak that the roof reaches. I've actually ordered some parts to allow us to finish off that portion of the roof line. It turns out gray bricks in that sort of slope, so it'll be a part that has a slope on both sides. Looks like a nice roof sort of peak. That brick in this light bluish gray is somewhat rare, but I've managed to pick up the last remaining sort of large quantities of them in Canada, and that'll help us finish this off. I ordered some extras in case I want to do another roof like this on another building, but that'll be a nice sort of completion point for both the roof of the grain elevator and the support building here. But, happy with how both are looking, and with another train show coming up here in a couple weeks, I guess a week and a half, nice to have that change done, because I think it's going to make the support building much easier to transport. The other thing that is worth noting here, if we look at the front part of the support building mills module here, the stretch from basically starting from right here, the half base plate footprint to the front, and then 2 base plates tall that way, is removable from the support building. So I can pull off the 2 half base plates there, makes this module with the support building itself much easier to transport and fit in boxes and containers. So happy with that as well. Really just a lot of sort of quality of life changes here. We've got the the electrical stuff, which is cool. I think that's going to add a lot to the complex. But, the big thing that we've been doing is trying to focus on making these modules easier to get, out of the Lego room to shows and back into the Lego room. So happy with how that's going. We'll talk a little bit more in another video about some of the next steps for the complex itself and for some of the other areas around it. But, I would really like to start pushing on vehicles, so trucks coming in and out of the grain elevator there to drop off grain. I think that would be a cool addition. I'd like to get some more farm equipment and different crops in and around the this sort of farming complex. I think it's nice to have a few different things that sort of tie in with this theme. So, like I said, we'll talk more about that in an upcoming video, but really happy that we've made these improvements to this complex, and it's now sort of pushing us towards where we can look at adding new details and other supporting structures around it, since this module is looking really awesome, and happy with how it's going to work for us both here in the Lego room and out at train shows as well. Now, next up, I wanted to show you guys the progress we've made with the sidings on this end of the layout over here by the Eiffel Tower. So you can see, we're just over from where the grain elevator is and the train yard. And last time you saw this, we had track here, but we had not finished the ballasting underneath it. We didn't have all of the track mounted onto Mills modules, but now we've got 2 full siding tracks over here and the 2 full ones running off the curve over there as well. Things that are still remaining to kind of wrap this, the work off on this area of the layout. Obviously want to get the 1x2 dark bluish gray bricks that I need or plate pieces that I need to finish off the ballasting here. I'm also waiting on a Trix Bricks order, which will have the some more of my wooden railway tie parts that will go on the track here and over there as well. The other thing that you might notice is there's currently no way to get from this siding here onto the siding that heads into the curve there and out onto the main line. And I'm actually working on getting a 2-track crossover basically, which I would like to have in here. It might not be feasible with the amount of space that we have for trains to really properly use that crossover, but I think it'll be useful to have there so that it's ultimately at our disposal. If we ever make the layout bigger, we've got that option to pull on and utilize, but we can also then take that crossover out to train shows as well, where it will be super useful. So even if it's just a visual change, I like the idea of getting the crossover in here so that, we've got the capability in theory to get trains from the outer siding into the inner siding. And, like I said, then we've got another track piece that we can call on when we need it for shows as well. But ultimately, really happy to have the siding done and set up there. Let's take a look at the other one as well. And, like I said, same idea over here. We've got the outer mainline track connected to this siding right here. We've got the inner siding that's not currently attached to the main line in any way. Would be nice to add a crossover here as well. Wouldn't add a lot in terms of functionality currently because it is so small there. You wouldn't be able to fully utilize that, but it gives us another chunk of track to call on when we're going out to train shows And, in the long term, it gives us more track options for our layout here in the Lego room. So super happy with that. Also, same idea as the other siding. We need to wait for those 1x2 plates to finish off the outer part of the track here, and then the wooden ties from Trix Bricks. And then this will be pretty much ready to go over here. We can start to get the trains back onto these sidings. Really happy with these sidings in general. They're going to give us some nice areas to display trains, in addition to what we have with the main rail yard over there, as well as the sidings on that end of the layout over there. And, for trains that are in this connected siding here that goes out onto the main line, it gives us, a really viable way to run trains out of this siding onto the layout and, from the layout back onto this siding, which I think will be really cool and give us some nice options for putting different trains through their paces without just having to lift things on and off the track all the time. So really happy with the progress on these sidings, and I think they're going to be super useful. Also, I've been making progress processing through all of the 32 Bricklink orders, I think it was, that we were getting for various projects around the layout. This area is starting to get tamed a little bit, which is nice because we've got some more Bricklink orders that are going to start coming in for another wave of projects. But we've got lots of stuff ahead this week with tree building. I want to get the telegraph tower, the warehouse, and the vinegar factory all starting to roll, and getting those into the layout here, but also ready for the train show that we have in a week and a half. So lots of building ahead. We'll talk more about the next wave of Bricklink orders probably later in the week as they start to roll in, but excited about those projects, but really happy that everything's coming together for the current projects that we want to get finished up. And, one of my big goals, in addition to sort of taming this area here, is I want to keep processing through the other sets and boxes, etc., that we have around the layout, continue some of our sorting, and really start to open up some of the under table space so that we can get started on the lower layout that we are adding down here. Will be great. We've got new track modules and buildings that are going to go in down there. So will be really cool to get that starting to open up so that we can get things into place there. I've been doing some work on the upper layout. Was painting some brackets that are going to be used for the shelving there. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, as we start to open up some of this floor space, we'll get to putting up some of the initial ceiling shelving so that we can get the trains starting to run up there. Lots of cool stuff ahead, really. It's going to be a ton of work, but it's really fun to see all of these different projects coming together. I think they're going to look really amazing around the room and the layout. And, have to say, really impressed with the progress that we've made over the last couple of days with the lighting and wiring on this side of the layout over here. The next big thing that I want to tackle with the lighting is to get the train signals and sensors hooked up on a few modules so that we can start to see that actually working in a more sort of permanent way. I think that'll be a lot of fun. I know my tests that I was doing with it were really cool and promising, so I think those are going to be great additions. And I really want to get the track area here cleared off so that we can start running some trains around the layout as well. Probably post a video running some trains either tomorrow or Thursday, because in addition to obviously taking a number of buildings and mills modules to the train show, Also going to be taking some trains as well. So I want to make sure I put everything through their paces, make sure everything's working and ready to go for the train show. So lots of cool stuff ahead. A ton of building, a ton of projects, and I will keep you guys posted on a daily basis with various videos on the channel. But like I said, really excited with the projects we've got on the go here and the progress we are making. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, please make sure to do so that you don't miss out on any of these upcoming videos. And thank you guys very much for watching. We will see you again soon. Take care. Bye.